Okay, so for decades, we've rightly worked to tear down the old structures that kept women dependent on men. And that was, a huge necessary change. But in doing all that, we kind of forgot to ask a really important question about the other side of the equation, right? What happens to a man's sense of purpose when those traditional roles, the provider, the protector, aren't a given anymore? This is the huge question that scholar Richard Reeves is tackling, and it really gets to the core of what a lot of people are calling a crisis in modern masculinity. And look, this isn't just some abstract philosophical problem. It has real-world consequences. That number you're looking at, 28%, that's how many men under 40 are unmarried today. We're not talking about a small group here. This is a huge, measurable trend showing that something fundamental is shifting under our feet. So what's really going on? Well, according to Reeves, this goes way deeper than just looking at things like college graduation rates or job numbers. This is a problem of culture and identity, a true crisis of purpose. This quote just hits the nail on the head. It's not about power or who's in charge. It's about a fundamental human need. Every single one of us, man or woman, needs to feel wanted, to feel needed, to feel connected. And for a lot of men right now, that solid ground feels like it's just crumbling away. So this crisis of purpose, it bleeds directly into the crazy world of modern dating. And it's so easy to blame the apps, isn't it? This feeling of just endless, overwhelming options. But Reeves argues that we might be looking at the problem all wrong. See, the misconception is that having thousands of potential partners at your fingertips is the issue. But the real problem is the mindset this creates, this endless, paralyzing search for the perfect person. It's not the market, it's the mentality. This quote nails it. Optimizing is when you treat finding a partner like online shopping, where you're constantly swiping, thinking someone just a little bit better is one click away. Satisficing, though, that's different. That means finding someone who is genuinely great, a wonderful fit, and then choosing to build something real from there. It's not settling, it's actually committing. To make this even clearer, Reeves offers this fantastic analogy that completely reframes how we should think about choosing a partner. I want you to forget the shopping aisle for a second. We need to start thinking about survival. This is the jelly analogy. Imagine you're in the supermarket staring at a wall with 48 different kinds of jelly. You can get completely paralyzed trying to pick the absolute best one, right? Well, if you see your future partner as a jar of jelly, you'll be stuck in that aisle forever, always wondering if there's a better flavor out there. Now, contrast that with the canoe analogy. Imagine you have to paddle a canoe across a dangerous ocean. You're not looking for the perfect co-pilot with a flawless resume. You're looking for someone competent, someone you trust, someone who will paddle with you when the storms inevitably hit. Because that's what life actually is. It is not a smooth ride. It is a series of crises. You lose a job, you get sick, you deal with what anthropologists call the parenting emergency. The strength of your partnership isn't about how perfect the choice was at the beginning. It's forged in how you navigate those crises together in that canoe. And this brings us to a huge mistake a lot of us make. We spend all our energy on the swipe, the first date, the checklist. We obsess over the choice. But we forget that the real work, the real life, the real love, that all happens in the long, long journey after the choice is finally made. This leads us to a really powerful shift in perspective. If marriage is a journey in a canoe, then the most important question isn't, how do I find the perfect co-pilot? It's, how do I become a great co-pilot myself? And honestly, if you remember one thing from all this, make it this quote right here. Stop focusing so much on finding the perfect person and start focusing on being a good person. That is what will make you the kind of partner someone actually wants to get in a canoe with. So what does that look like in the real world? It's not a checklist of superficial stuff. It's about character. First, just be kind and be competent. Then, have the courage to put yourself out there. And maybe even more importantly, have the grace to handle rejection when it comes. Take responsibility for your life. And finally, be able to contribute, not as the sole breadwinner, but as a signal that you are a capable, resourceful partner. This way of thinking really elevates marriage from being just a contract, like a business deal between two people, to a covenant. In a covenant, the relationship itself becomes this third thing. There's you, there's your partner, and then there's the marriage, an entity that you both work together to serve and protect. Now, it's easy to hear all this and feel a little down. There's a lot of talk out there about heterofatalism, this idea that since women are economically independent now, they're just giving up on men and marriage altogether. But the data tells a very different and actually much more hopeful story. So let's just ask the question directly. If women don't need a man for financial survival anymore, are they choosing to just go it alone? Are the most successful women in the world opting out of partnership? The answer is a huge, resounding no. A staggering 90% of these women, the most economically powerful in history, still choose to get married. This isn't a story about fatalism. It's a story of incredible optimism. And think about what that number really means. For these women, marriage is no longer an economic necessity. It is a genuine, free choice. And they are overwhelmingly choosing it. They don't need a partner, but they want one. This final quote from Reeves just lands the whole idea perfectly. This isn't a crisis of men being obsolete. It's a call for men to rise to a new occasion. Powerful, independent women are sending a clear signal. They still want a partner for the journey. The only question left is, are you ready to pick up a paddle?